Perfect. So hello, my name is Allison Pasta. I was born with that name and I'll never change it because it's just too fun to change.
It is. It's Pasta.
So I'm fairly new to this church and this congregation, so thank you for having me, and I'm very excited to be here. And I'm also new to this side of the financial industry, just recently becoming a financial advisor. I work for Corebridge Financial and formerly, well, also VALIC, right? So I don't know if any of you are educators, but our wheelhouse is to, or from the healthcare field, but our wheelhouse is to educate educators as well as doing, nonprofit, healthcare, and religious organizations, educating folks on their pension plan as well as helping them enroll in their 403B plans, which is very similar to a 401k, except not at all, because they do not work in the private sector, right, or for a private company. They're working again in nonprofit, healthcare organizations, and public schools, and for religious organizations. So the IRS says you do not get to have a 401k, you get to have a 403b. My wheelhouse within Corebridge actually is in the K-12 sector and in the public school district sector. So I travel all through North Central Washington, all the way from the Canadian border all the way down to the Oregon border, and I enter school districts and speak to all public school employees about their Washington State pensions. So if anyone has a question, if they're a Washington State pension eligible employee or were, and have a question about their pension, I could certainly help you with that. That is my true wheelhouse at Corebridge. However, I am here to talk to you about much more than that. Prior to coming to Corebridge, I worked for Numerica Credit Union for about a decade. And my specialties there were assisting folks with credit education, so in regards to learning about their credit score and about their entire credit report and about what that meant and how it could benefit their current situation and their future situation. And, oh, do you have a question? No, oh, sorry. And assisting with creating a budget and providing loans to folks from all walks of life and in all situations. So anything from your very simple payday loan all the way to a home equity line of credit. And I also assisted with mortgages and mortgage loan processing and everything in between as a retail loan officer. And so the purpose of this conversation here today is to bring a vague awareness of the impact of what a financial plan and a review of that financial plan can do for you. And when I say vague, I have to be a little bit vague, right? Because my financial situation is different from yours, and it's different from yours, and it's different from yours, and it's different from, guess what, yours. Because everybody's financial situation is unique to themselves, and it's as unique as our own fingerprints, right? So that's really all that we've got, right? We're all just so different, and everybody's situation is so completely different that I really won't be able to say, this is exactly what we should do and put everybody into this little box. Everybody has a different shape of their own. I might be a squiggly line because I'm a little bit odd, and Nancy might be a perfectly beautiful 90-degree angled square, and you might be a triangle, I don't know, right? So we're all a little bit different here. And so I'm just going to give a little vague overview of the importance of a financial plan. If you don't have one, the importance of getting one. And if you do have one, having a review and the importance of a review of that plan. Do we have any questions?
What if you don't have a plan at all, you just sort of fill in all this stuff?
Oh.
I mean, I have,
Go ahead.
in my mind, I have goals, but
Sure.
as far as having something actual, a plan, this, and this, it just sort of all happened, you know.
Sitting down with someone that you trust and looking at all of the aspects of all of the financial
Ins and outs.
yes, so it's kind of like, have you ever purchased a home or a vehicle? Made a large purchase in your life, right? So what we do in a financial plan is we take all of the finances coming in, and then we look at all of the debts or anything coming in, all the assets that come in, everything that goes out, and we say, all right, what kind of lifestyle do you lead now? What kind of lifestyle do you want to lead in the future? And do you want to leave anything to your heirs, or do you have the ability to leave anything to your heirs? And how do we make that happen for you? And when I say we, I don't just mean me or Corebridge in general. I mean the collective financial advisor, we. That is the point and purpose of our jobs and our responsibility to you. So having a financial plan, sitting with someone and saying, this is what I want to do, and understanding the benefits really of kind of walking that path and going down that avenue with someone, even if it's just putting it all down on paper and saying, this is what if you've never done that before, the benefit of doing that is very impactful. Okay. See, I wrote it all down. Let's see what I wrote. I wrote it last night at like midnight after I did all my laundry. Yeah, so it says, we look at all the money coming in, all the money going out. Because it's like, what size of home can I purchase? What payment can I afford? How big will my yard be? Or do I want to downsize, right? What would it be like to downsize? What would it be like to downsize? Do you have less stuff to vacuum? Do you get to buy a condo with a pool? Do the grandkids come and visit and then you go, well, sorry, you can't stay, have a great time. I only have one extra room and it's not for you. No, I'm just kidding. So with and if you already have a financial plan, your advisor can really help you just review everything that you've got, because maybe what you had in the past or what you purchased in the past might not fit your current needs, right? It might have fit your needs from 5 years ago or your needs from 10 years ago. And the financial products that were available 5 and 10 years ago may not be as lucrative as they are now. And so it may be worth a review to get out of what you were in and purchase something new and transition. So when you sit with someone, although it may feel like a sales conversation or a sales opportunity for the advisor, because really that's what we do as advisors, right? We're here to make money. I'm not gonna lie, that's what we do. That's our job, that's our livelihood. But we're also providing a service to you, right? So we go to Les Schwab to have tires put on our car, but that's the service that they provide us. I still need to have tires on my car. I still need to drive somewhere. I can still go to the mechanic because they still need to change the oil in my car. I still need to have the car to drive, right? But the advisor can still assist you with being able to maybe transfer a life insurance policy over, because again, maybe the one that you have doesn't fit your needs currently, or maybe you don't have a policy, or maybe you need to purchase, not need, but could purchase an annuity that can provide monthly income to you, or can provide, in a way, an inheritance for your heirs in the future, right? Because what happens when we pass away and we have saved all of our lives, all these hopes and dreams, right? And what happens when we pass and then all those hopes and dreams are gone? So sitting with someone and saying, this is what I have coming in, this is what I have going out, and this is kind of what I want to do. How can you help me get there? And there's oh, go ahead, did you have a question? Oh, I was like, there's so many different things that are out there. It's like the Wizard of Oz, right? Like you might be sitting in Kansas right now and going to an advisor, they're gonna show you this world of color, going, oh yeah, I just like, let me open my book here and I've got about 188 things that you didn't think of, and well, let's go over all of them to see what we've got going on here, right? Because if your spouse passes away, maybe you might need replacement income or additional monthly income, because Social Security only gets you so far because the cost of goods rise over time. Right, so there might be a benefit for you out there. Your needs may have changed. And during that review, right, if you have if you already have a life insurance policy, maybe expiring, you might be able to purchase a whole life policy if you already have a term policy that's expiring. I suggest doing something along with coordinated care, because you could have all the money in the world but not know how to coordinate the care for it. So that's something to look into. so that someone else isn't like really burdened with making these arrangements, right? All these arrangements are just taken care of. In addition to that, it's a complete segue that we have. If you've got something going on already, if you have an annuity policy or you have gains, regardless of how you obtained those gains, we're currently experiencing market highs, and we have been for the last few years. Theoretically, what goes up must come down. And so if you're experiencing any gains, having a review in the next few months may really benefit your situation. And taking those gains, go ahead.
That's a good question. When a financial advisor and you sit down and you make your plan, if you purchase new things, are the financial advisors allowed to tell you the tax implications?
Yes,
Or do you have to
absolutely.
go to a tax person?
No, so absolutely, I was like, that is also part of this. So the point of being with an advisor is also for them to say, here are the tax implications, right? So that we make sure that we're saying, this is how it's going to affect your taxes, this is how it's going to affect your tax bracket, essentially, right? You are going to want to sit with a tax person, but that doesn't mean that I can't have a conversation with your tax professional and saying, these are the tax implications that I know of based upon these products, right? So if you're going to purchase something that's going to give you additional monthly income, such as an annuity, then it depends on how you with what type of funds you purchase an annuity, and then how you take distributions from that annuity, right? So it depends on how you purchase it, how you take the distributions, but that doesn't mean that I can't talk to your tax professional to say, what is their current tax bracket? How do we want to structure this to create the best benefit for you so that you pay the least amount of taxes in the long run, right? We want it to make it fair and equitable for you as well. So that is part of it, sitting with a professional to make sure that we're being fair for you. And determining like a risk assessment, if you want to invest anything, having a risk assessment to make sure that you are, to determine how you feel about market exposure, if you have an advisor and you are invested in the stock market, because your risk a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, how you feel about the market may be different than it is now. There's a lot of information that I covered in like 6 minutes. So please feel free to ask me a lot of questions. I am here for a lot of open discussion because you probably had a lot of questions coming in that I most likely did not cover. Go ahead. Yes.
I had an experience when my husband passed.
Yes.
That we had already sold turned back all of our life insurance policies. Our kids were doing fine, we didn't need them anymore, so
Sure.
we turned them in. But we were California teachers, so his California pension from the Teachers Society was, had a death benefit.
Okay.
Now, life insurance, you don't get that unless you die, but life insurance is not taxable, mostly, and death benefits are. And I thought, oh, let's learn something new. So those are the kinds of things that can trap you.
Correct, but it also depends upon how, if it comes from a state pension, how it's taxed and how you receive that death benefit as well. So it depends on essentially the policy. So the state of Washington's death benefit for pension recipients has the ability to function in a different manner than a lump sum or a monthly, like a monthly income check. Potentially, dependent upon what pension plan you're in. But you are accurate in that statement. So everyone's so unique. It's so different. Everyone's so different that we can't. But I think that the main part of your situation essentially is to create a budget, start a budget, and to start planning, even if your budget is on paper. My first budget was on paper. My budget's still on paper. I like paper. I just like it. It helps me to remember what I'm doing. When I write something down, I get that memorization. I pay my bills all electronically, but I do my annual budget all on paper, and there's nothing wrong with it because we're all individuals and we should do the thing that works best for our situations. So,
what would be the upside of doing a net worth exercise every year? I mean, I can understand why there would even be an upside to that. It's just a lot of paperwork.
not necessarily for you, it's paperwork for your advisor. So your advisor takes account, it's work for you one time. You say, here's all of my information, and you give us all of it, right? You say, here's how much I receive in Social Security, here's how much I receive in my pension, here are my bills. And you could say, it's a very simple exercise for us to do, because we do it all on the computer, and the computer doesn't work. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not doing math in my head here. I had to do that in school. I'm not doing that in my head anymore, or at least the long version of it. And then we create a plan and a trajectory for you, and you tell us what you want to do with your money. Do you want to spend it all before you pass away? Do you want to give it to someone? Do you need more income? How can I help you to live the life that you want to live? And then I rack my brain and go through my list of, 900 products that I have to see if I have one that would fit the needs that you are asking for. And I also try to anticipate your needs and say, I know you didn't think of this, but what do you think of these 6 different things that I've got that may benefit you? And if you don't want any market exposure or market risk, we have that too, where you don't have to be invested in the stock market, but can save you money and earn you money while at the same time providing you monthly income. Potentially, I don't know I don't know any of your financial information, but it's a possibility. It happens with our clients all the time. That's our job. Not just my job, again, collectively financial advisors' jobs. So that's what we do. We want to make sure, because we don't know what's going to happen in life. What if you have someone in your home that you're managing and taking care of, and you pass away, and you need to provide for them in their future? You could be able to leave a lump sum to them so that they're taken care of eventually.
Another thing that changes so much is medical insurance.
Correct.
It seems like every year they have to go through this, and it's sort of stressful. You
Yes.
don't know what you're going to need.
You don't know what you're going to need. You don't even know the cost. Well, they'll announce those costs, and we know those costs because we research them and we deal with them, and we just put it on our little. Honestly, I put it on a sticky note. I put it on my computer. And so anyone that needs a financial plan that I do plans for, and they come in for an annual review, right? So my computer tells me all of my clients that need a review, and I start calling them about 2 or 3 months before their review. Hey, do you want to come in? Hey, do you want to come in? Hey, do you want to come in? Hopefully people want to come in and have their review. So the cost of insurance, medical insurance that goes up, I know what it's going to be, and I plug it into their plan before they're even there, so that we can accurately account for it for that year. To know how much it's going to cost. That way you don't have to deal with it. You don't want to deal with that. You don't want to kick that off your plate. Also, but you're paying an advisor for these services, right? Like, you're going to pay them for these services in one way, shape, or form, but sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes it's not, but sometimes it is. Depends on who you feel comfortable with, who you trust, how you feel about them, right? What value you find in speaking with someone. If you've got simplistic information, it might not be important. If you have complicated information, it might be very important. But if you have simple information and you don't want to deal with any of it, I don't even like mowing my lawn. I make my son do it.
I had
Please.
a couple of experiences with annuities.
Yes.
One was a cousin of mine, her mother died, and unfortunately she called after they'd already decided. They took her annuity as a lump sum, and they were surprised to get a tax bill because the whole thing was taxed. And, I'm sure they got a letter, but probably didn't understand what it was all
Yes.
about. Because she was thinking that her mother's annuity was life insurance. And she was thinking in her brain it would not be taxable, but it was taxable, the whole amount, so that was.
Because it's income to you.
Right. okay,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so they had this nice big lump sum. And they had a nice year to enjoy it before they got the tax.
Yes, and then the next year, so having an advisor to speak with, to understand the implications of that, because there are sometimes different ways that you can take that annuity, or even reaching out if you receive an inheritance, reaching out to whom you're receiving it from, right? So let's say I'm in their shoes and I receive a letter that says my loved one has passed away and you're their heir and you're going to receive something. Great. I'm distraught. What do I do? Call the number. They're kind and helpful. And if they're not kind or helpful, reach out to someone that you know and trust, because they most likely have someone that they know and trust that can assist you with what to do so that there's not serious tax implications on what you receive. There will most likely be tax implications. We can't ever get out of our taxes, right? But how we take those tax implications can be less serious than versus the more serious outcome.
So, how or what do you suggest for someone who has a loved one who had been planning, but then life happens, and so you're handed this pile of, you don't even know.
Sure.
Where do you start with that?
Start with who
Health
the planner was.
crisis. What if you have no idea? So, my mom,
Okay. I'm just thinking, that's why I'm looking, okay.
so she's 60.
Okay.
She's very young, and she had a health crisis, and she'll never live independently again.
All
I'm
right.
her only child, so I was handed, I don't even know, like, I didn't even know where to start.
What documents
So
do you have? Like, what
I'm
are they, you know?
2 years into it,
Okay.
and so I made some progress, but like,
Sure.
I found out a year later she had, retirement, I had no idea. You know, she's 60, I didn't go to her house and say, oh, mom, tell me about your bills. You know, so like,
Why would we,
I
right?
have no idea, you know,
Uh-huh.
what is her bank, what
Got
bills
it.
does she have, retirement,
Oh, that's tough.
fighting with social security,
Right.
like, where do you start with that? And are
Okay.
there resources to help them?
I don't totally know the answer to that question, but I'm pretty savvy with something. You have a bank statement somewhere, I presume, correct? So I would start with the bank statement. Where's the money coming from? Right? Did she have deposits coming in?
Not anymore, I mean, but
She did.
She did.
So where was the money coming from? So I know where she works. So did she work in state of Washington?
No, she was from North Dakota.
Okay.
So
Did she have a pension?
That I found out a year later, yeah.
Okay.
So I was just hanging out.
It's not hanging. So you can reach out to, is North Dakota, correct?
Correct.
So reach out to the state of North Dakota, go to North Dakota State Pension, just Google it, it'll take you to a website.
And then like planning for the future, you know, like I said, she'll never live independently. What happens, I mean, her funds are to take care of her, and then we had to sell our house, and it just, you know, it's a lot.
So you have to have all of them.
I know, I mean,
Right, but you need to know like what to do.
her house was, yeah,
What to do with the money to keep it like in an estate, correct?
yeah, so let's take care of her.
Do you have like an estate planner, an estate planner? An estate planner.
You know, it has to be Washington or North Dakota, since that's where everything started.
I presume, is she in North Dakota now?
No, she was with me now. She moved with me.
I would say Washington, start with Washington State Planning. And then, so her house is sold, or all of her, where's her bank? Not like where, but like the bank that she utilized, did you,
We have one in North Dakota that we're actually closing, and then she
Okay.
has one because I'm her payee.
I was like, did you get all of that straightened out? Like, did you get representative payee through the court, so you're the rep payee, and all the deposits are gonna come into that account, correct? Okay, so you'll have everything from North Dakota transferred to your current account. Okay. Are you the executive for the state?
Yeah, I'm her only kid, so.
Versus rep payee, are you the executive for the state? It's okay, if you don't know that, that's fine, that's okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe this is.
No, it's okay, so, that would be, I mean, those are 3 things, okay. That's a lot of homework.
Yeah.
So, if you contact them, you might be listed as your beneficiary, she may. Okay, so you may be listed as the beneficiary here, and so when you contact them, just let them know if you're her only heir, and they might be able to assist you. Maybe, I don't know, they might be able to. Okay. I do that, because if she's not able to live independently, I don't know, it'll depend on their stipulations, she may have to pass before they're able to pay anything, but they may on their website, list, if she's a pension recipient, what the pension is, how much she should be set to receive, and be able to give you information potentially.
I mean, our goal is assisted living so she can be as independent as possible.
Right.
But she does need oversight for just vascular dementia now, so she's not safe to be
Are you,
supervised.
power of attorney
Yeah.
over her person,
for everything,
like, or just her,
durable and medical both.
okay, so they may be able to further assist you then, so I would let them know.
I just wanna make sure that her resources that she's
Sure.
worked for her entire life are to take care of her and not
Right.
just.
So I would let them know the state of North Dakota, what's going on, and then they may be able to give you a hand. They may be able to. Okay. Sure. Any other questions? Do you have any budgeting questions, credit score questions, or loan questions? I'm really good about those ones too.
Had another anomaly happen.
Go ahead.
Our whole thing, probably because we didn't have a total financial plan, things kind of just fell into place.
You know, you're not alone. A lot of people, I don't know, probably 7 out of 10 people that I talk to are like that, really.
Well, this happened because of a lawsuit in California. My husband and I both signed up for long-term care insurance,
Okay,
and it was through the teachers thing in
Yes.
California.
okay,
Well, last year, there was a lawsuit.
okay.
And it said if you reach, final stages and you die without having used any of your long-term care insurance,
Okay.
then there's a formula and you get some money back. So I got this check for my husband who passed without using any of his.
Oh, all right,
long-term
I
care.
understand, okay.
And I don't even know if it's going to be taxable or not. You know,
I don't know either.
and I don't know if Washington has something like that, or if it doesn't matter because my long-term care insurance was through California, not Washington.
That's a good question.
And what about this Washington Cares, this long-term
Oh, boy.
benefit that Washington
Yeah,
has that,
wait till after the election.
yeah,
After this, yeah, to see if it's repealed or not.
yeah.
But that, are you working? What, no, is anyone working? Because that only affects folks who are working.
Yeah.
Well, it
But
wouldn't
they said-
necessarily affect folks who are working, it affects everyone because you could potentially utilize it, but.
Well, they also say it's transferable, you can take it out of state. I mean, the ads on TV and who knows what that's all about. So I don't know about Washington.
I don't watch television.
What
So that
happens
was my
to-
only comment on that, I don't watch television, I watch YouTube, I have children, they watch YouTube. I know, isn't that terrible? It's not so bad, I mean, I watch the news on YouTube, but they don't have commercials.
But you can't get away from all the commercials.
You can on YouTube, they just have different commercials about bad snacks. Yeah, Cheetos and dumb things like that, I don't know.
What happens to that, insurance, like when you quit working?
You stop paying into it.
Yeah, I mean, does it just go away, or,
Are you talking life insurance?
Like
The
you-
long-term care insurance,
yes,
you're able to utilize it.
you are, when you quit working?
I believe you can utilize it at any time regardless of working or not if you enter into long-term care. But I don't know the full details on it. I don't.
So who would you call? I mean, cause it was always taken out of my paycheck,
Sure,
I don't know.
but since,
that's the Washington plan, right?
Yeah.
yeah. The Washington Cares, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, if you can take it on.
Probably someone just, it's probably something like DSHS or something like that would be my presumption. Or, probably like the Washington Healthcare Authority, or, it might even be through, who do you utilize through when you have, like the Washington not cares, but
That's what they were calling it when they took it out of my paycheck. Is-
correct, but they call, when you are, like Washington paid family medical leave, you go to the, like the unemployment website and you file for
Mhm.
unemployment. So I presume it's probably going to be like in this all-encompassing website area that they
Okay.
utilize for it. So you go to the unemployment website
Okay.
to file for unemployment or to file for Washington State paid family medical leave. So I presume, my presumption is that it's going to be probably in this all-encompassing zone, but I don't know. I'll look that up. That's a good question. I'll look that up really quick.
Would your retirement board be able to help you with that, Nancy?
Well,
Since they took it out of salary, that you were being paid.
yeah, and, because I worked for the union, I mean, all of us caregivers were always under the union.
Uh-huh,
And so the union paid into our retirement,
sure.
and I already got that.
Do you have a retirement board though, that,
Oh, right. Like that assists you with retirement needs after retirement through the union.
They did, yes. I got a lot of.
they might be able to
stuff,
answer your questions about the,
You know,
because it
I
was a
asked somebody
deduction.
about that once, and they didn't know what,
Yeah,
they said, I think it just goes away. It's like, well, I paid into it all these years,
yeah.
You don't have
you know.
that would be, maybe they didn't understand what you were asking. Because I know that like Washington Education Association, the WEA has like a whole group for retired. Because we give seminars to them. Because we have a over 55-year affiliation with the Washington Education Association. And so we conduct seminars and assist people out of the Department of Retirement Systems and assist with, if you were part of WEA while you were employed, then we assist you all throughout your retirement as a member benefit
Okay.
at no cost. So I presume that there is something, because you were a union member, while you are retired, that there's got to be some sort of something in retirement, that they
Yeah.
don't just go, thanks for your service, see you later. That'd be weird. That'd be strange.
Well, I opened up like an IRA at the bank and they just rolled it over into that, you know, and then it was like, kinda like, okay. Cause the retirement, it was under Millman, which is a separate,
Yes, but I mean,
Yeah.
like, your member service for being a union member, like, your
Yeah.
services because you were a member after retirement.
Yeah, who would you contact if you wanted to access some of that long-term care from Washington Cares?
yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
You don't know who to contact?
I don't, but I didn't think about what Allison said about underneath the, you know, .y.gov,
that, like, yeah.
the unemployment security,
You're right.
you know, website and stuff, so. I didn't think about Like you do there,
Okay.
Somebody at the union or
Cares.
retirement.
Long-term care. Okay, maybe my cell phone will be better than my computer. WA Cares Fund. It's wacaresfund.wa.gov, helping you cover your tomorrows. The WA Cares Fund ensures all working Washingtonians can earn access to long-term care when they need it. How the fund works. Okay,
so walk your way.
I don't know. Okay. wacaresfund.wa.gov.
Okay,
So automatically contribute 0.58% of your paycheck to the fund during your working years. After contributing for 10 years or less if you're nearing retirement and have a sudden need, you can access your benefit when you need care. You must also have a care need that requires assistance with activities of daily living in order to access your benefit. Apply for the benefit. After meeting a care need and contribution requirement, you can apply online to access your benefit starting in July of 2026. Once approved, you can access your benefit of up to $36,500, which will be adjusted up to inflation to pay for care. Those born before 1968 typically have lower contribution requirements and benefits. Okay. Who contributes? Everyone. Me.
do we have to wait till July of 26 then?
Correct, because it has to build the fund.
Yeah,
Who is exempt? Federal employees who work in Washington, employees of tribal businesses in which the tribe has not opted in, people who are self-employed and who have not opted in, retired and non-working Washingtonians, people who may apply for a voluntary exemption, workers whose permanent home address is outside of Washington, temporary workers on a non-immigrant visa, spouses of registered domestic partners of active duty military members, veterans with a 70% or higher service-connected disabilities. Okay.
So they have a website.
You have to have contributed for at least 10 years.
you mean like paid into it and stuff for 10 years?
Even if
Yes.
you're older when the thing started?
Yeah, cause they didn't even start taking out of our, I mean, I did this for like 30 years, I did caregiving, and they didn't even start doing the Washington Cares thing until, what, 2 years ago maybe?
Right, so it says fast track for WA workers who have contributed for 3 of the last 6 years and have a sudden need for care. So allows workers with care needs during their career or soon after leaving the workforce to qualify for benefits even if they have not yet contributed for the 10 years. Contributed for at least 3 of the past 6 years at the time you apply for benefits and have a sudden need such as an injury, illness, or disability.
So there's a whole group of people who work in Washington who've been contributing to this.
Mm-hmm.
And what if, like my husband, they die before they're able to utilize it? Maybe there will be a
Then
lawsuit in
they-
Washington.
That's
that
why
will-
that's probably why they're trying
We'll
to
send you
repeal it.
back all the money you put in.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
get to
that's-
use, or your heirs will get it, and then they'll have to determine
wait.
whether it's taxable or not.
Hold on, it's not taxable. So it says, what it does, okay, 10% for each contributed year or partial benefit ensures that people who are near retirement when the WAS fund launches can earn benefits.
Mhm.
So you might not receive all of it, but you could receive partial because you didn't contribute the 10 years.
Yeah, it would be reduced
Right, or
percentage-wise.
reduced for, yeah.
Yeah.
But you still have to wait till 2026 to apply. Interesting.
Well, midnight, July 1st.
Oh, 2026, yeah.
No, hang in there, hang in there, kiddo.
I know.
Yeah.
It's really on what? 12. 18 more months, something like that.
Early
Twenty
access,
months.
yeah, full benefit, near retirement, 10% for each year contributed or partial benefit.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's good to know. At least they'll just sit there. Right?
yeah, there we go.
Sounds good.
Lots of questions.
There's a lot of questions.
There is an insurance person, Jim Highline, have you heard of him?
Who
He's
does
on
he-
Springwater.
Okay, who does he
And-
work with?
It's, he works with different insurance companies,
Okay.
and
Medicare, Medicaid.
he's.
Oh, okay, so he's like a okay, I understand.
He, had some meetings, many this year, I noticed. But you can't get into him for a long time, he's so busy right now.
I'm sure, yes, right now, yes.
But he has really, been like the person people call for information on insurances and things.
His
like
name's
that.
Jim
Heinlein.
Heinlein?
I think it's Heinline, and he's on
Spelling
Springwater.
Lion.
Heinlein on Springwater.
Uh-huh.
It's part of that Springwater insurance.
Okay.
Anyway, I noticed he had many, many meetings this year, so, cause there must be a lot of changes happening on the insurance.
All right.
There's a couple of companies that are going out
Are there
in this area.
Yeah.
really interesting?
Because of wildfires?
No, this is,
No, it's like medical insurance, so you can purchase your supplemental insurance through him, so your Medicare supplements through him. So he's like a medical insurance broker.
yeah.
Interesting. I've not heard of him, but we typically deal with, because we deal with,
Financial.
correct, so all we do is kind of just plug it into your financial plan and say, this is how much it's going to cost you. You tell me how much you know, this is the cost of the supplements typically, and we'll plug it in and tell you if you can afford it or not, right? Or you're gonna have to go with a cheaper plan or get a second job or something, right? When we do your financial plan, you know,
Stay healthy, not use it.
enjoy, you know, greeting people at Walmart, right, and have fun. We don't say it so terribly, but I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes that is a conversation that we do have with folks. However, we typically work with folks who have been in education, and so they have the ability to purchase, through PEB, which allows for a reduction of cost because they were, state employees. I don't know if it's a true reduction of cost for supplemental insurance, but it allows for continuation of their health insurance. Somewhat, for lack of a better term, it's continuation.
And sometimes, even with a plan, you get these checks. What to do?
And you don't know what to do with them yet, it's like consulting someone saying, what is this, what do I do with this, I got this form, what do I do, help me.
And do I dare cash this check?
Mm-hmm.
Or should I put it into withholding because
Yes.
maybe
Do I send this back?
put me
How
in
do
a
I-
different tax
Tax bracket, yes, that can be scary, because going into a different tax bracket can certainly imply, having to come up with some money after the first of the year, and that can be very challenging. Yeah, that is challenging.
You know what my parents did when they had to stay within a certain tax bracket, cause my mom, back in the 70s, had inherited like multi-million dollars from my aunt, her sister, and they literally had to take out a loan
To
in
pay
order
their
to pay
taxes,
capital
yes.
gains tax.
Yes.
But what they did over the years is, cause she had stocks, she had bonds, she had everything.
She
you
had
could
complications.
possibly imagine. They sold the mansion and the cars,
Mhm.
you know, cause they had to do that, but this was over in Seattle, but anyway, as time went on, you know, things kept gaining and stuff, so what they did was they gifted us 3 girls a certain amount of money each quarter
Mhm.
so that they could stay within a certain tax bracket, so they didn't have to keep, you know,
Yeah.
so,
Well, even my parents, they had a very difficult time with their property taxes to appeal to the county to stay in the lower, so they don't have to pay the extra property taxes. And the way it's all calculated, we can't stay with it. Well, 2025. It's challenging, I understand, it's very challenging. It can be very hard. It's very hard. Taxes are not ideal. No one wants to get stuck with the bill. I don't want to get stuck with the bill.
Yeah,
It's not fun.
I have to run, so. Thank you, Allison.
Well, I don't know how they expect people to read that teeny tiny writing. That was tiny writing. I warn any of you going to that website.
No, I didn't
Be
do that.
prepared.
Read the fine print, it has a new meaning.
Literally.
It was tiny.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you,
Allison.
Oh, you're welcome, you're welcome.
No other than sometimes you just have to play all this stuff.
Sometimes you get weird,
Some things like their taxes.
write out your budget for next year.
Yeah.
Start it now. It's October, so maybe by February of next year, you'll have it ready.
The only plan we had was to have everything paid off before we retired.
That's a great plan to have.
That's the only plan we had.
That's the best plan to have.
Yeah.
I love that plan.
And I've told my girls, do not have 2 pieces of property, do not have unpaid car loans.
The best advice my mother gave me was take on debt as though one of you is going to pass at any moment,
Right.
so that the other one can take on all the bills by yourself
Yes.
without any complications, and pay the house, and then put gas in the car, and then buy the groceries, and everything else will fall right into place as it should. Because if you don't have the house paid, then you don't have a roof, and if you don't have gas in the car, you're never getting to work.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it, of all the things she taught me, I just followed that one always. I mean, I didn't always follow what my mother told me to do. She's
But
your mom.
that
you
was a
know.
good one.
But those were good ones, and I always did those ones.
Good idea.
Well, and I
Yes,
think
yes.
especially if you have, I don't know, maybe it's different when you have boys, but I only had girls. And I just, you've gotta be able to support yourself. You can't rely on somebody else to take care of you.
Yes.
And, you've gotta learn how to do all these financial things.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you can't.
My grandfather was an alcoholic, and my mother's first husband was an alcoholic, and so she really instilled in my older sister and in myself
Self-sufficient.
self-sufficiency. And so I met my poor husband, and he probably thought, what's wrong with this girl?
But more women end up being widowed than men.
Yes.
And there we are, kind of stuck.
You don't want to be in that situation. That's hard to be in that situation, going, well, now what do? I don't know how to do things for myself, and I don't want to be like that. That's not that I don't want my husband to take care of me, but you don't want to be in that situation. That's hard.
Well, thank you very much. Some
What's
interesting
that?
questions.
Supposed to be equal.
That is true. My husband's very good at many things, but I sometimes fear that if I die, he'll just go, oh, the lights turned off, what do we do? And money just out of that account just stopped working, what now?
It's time to cross-train him.
No,
I cross-trained my husband.
My desk right at home, I work from home a
Thank
lot.
you.
So you
Thank
pull
you.
the little drawer open, and it says in the red on the manila envelope, in the event of my death.
Yeah.
And it's really very simple, because it's got the little passwords, and this is where the money is, and this is where you get to it, and this is who you call.
Yeah.
And it's not a lot, because too much information is overwhelming, but it's really very simple, and just says right here in this little envelope, because it's the first place they're gonna go, oh, let's just go look at mom's desk, and you pull it open, and there it all is, very easy to find, so,
That's a good plan.
yeah. It's hard, right?
Well, I was keeping all the pass outs for my daughter, now I've lost the whole
Yeah, I've got a little thing, we could just steal theirs, they left us.
Let me look and see what she's got here. Oh, yeah, these were some that I was really, Pastor Debbie had written these wonderful poems.
Pastor Debbie, she goes, yeah, they recommended you. And I was like, I don't know why. I talked to people who were like 25. That's why. Okay.
One of the hardest things is, you don't know what you don't know.
This just has all of my stuff on it down in there, so you can, that is hard. You don't really know what you don't know. It's like,
Well,
that is so tough. Where do you start? You just have to like start digging through all
It
the
has
things.
it's been ridiculous.
And when you don't know what you're, like, when you don't know what you're looking for and you have to look through everything and you go, is what I'm looking at important? I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean,
It's so hard.
yeah.
Should I keep this or not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I throw this away? Do I shred this? Oh, is what I shred the most important piece of information that I needed? It was.
Well,
Huh.
there's been so many politics and it's just been.
Oh, that's tough. I'm ready for this
And
election to be over, let me tell you.
so-
I'll tell you, I have a wonderful son-in-law in Southern California, and he lost both his parents, within a couple of years of each other, and they had multiple properties, agricultural
gosh.
things, like they had an orange grove here, and they had a grapefruit grove here, and avocados over there. Anyway, they did have an estate plan, and they had a trust, and they, both boys thought everything was fine, because the parents were so well prepared.
Oh, sure.
They found out they couldn't even turn off the PG&E because neither one of the boys was on the PG&E bill,
Oh my gosh.
Is that electric?
Yeah.
electric and gas
Yeah.
in California.
Yeah.
And he sat down after his experience with all of this, and he sat down and he wrote out several pages of just these things that you don't think about, and he sent it to me. And so I started going down the list and making sure that my daughter that lives in Kashmir was on the PG&E bill, or the PUD bill.
Yes.
You know, things
Yes.
like that, so that she could conduct business.
Yeah, well, it's been, like, my mom, she's had 2 strokes, she was 58 when she had the first one,
Oh.
we had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Oh.
My cousin called me and said, your mom's acting really weird, so I called her and like, her speech was horrible,
Yeah.
and she was I actually called an ambulance from Washington State in North Dakota,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm in healthcare, so I have some knowledge, but
Sure.
like, I take care of cancer patients, strokes are not my thing.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, and so you're stressed, you don't know
Right.
if you're gonna live or die, it's 22 hours away,
Oh
you
my
know,
gosh.
so
Oh.
I left on 4 hours of sleep, which sucked, my daughter left me. So you get there, she was intubated for a week, and then you start the health journey. How do people do it? I mean, I was overwhelmed and stressed, it's very different being on the other side of the bed, but how do people do it that don't have a background to even ask questions? And then it's something like you said, nobody will talk to you. So I couldn't it took me a year and a half to get Social Security, payee, and power attorney. It took me 5 months to get health insurance. It took me 7 months to get Social Security and tucked in, because power attorney means nothing when you're not decisional. How do you give somebody that? I mean, I'm her only kid, and so I was by default, but, and then those documents, are they even permissible because she is impaired cognitively? It's just been like one ridiculous thing after another. Our house was a whole other, we did get the person that lived there.
Oh no.
I finally sold it, and it was built in 19, it
You're
was
just-
124. I mean, I
You're
just.
just knocking down the barriers one by
Yeah,
one.
and so she has a little bit of retirement,
Mhm.
she's 61 now, so, you know, not what
She
she
was
had.
young, you know, when
Yeah,
she started.
and, you know, neither one of us signed up for this.
Yeah.
And,
Exactly,
you know, and
exactly.
now
She had no idea.
What do you do? You know, she lived with her boyfriend for 15 years, and then she called one day and said, come get me. I was like, okay, here we go. You know, it's been one heck of a ride.
Golly.
So, yeah, but, like, so she has a little bit of retirement, she has, her house wasn't worth any, I mean, in today's market, it was worth literally nothing.
But of
it was-
course,
But it's all going to her care.
Yeah.